Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Winged Hussars, Deadliest Cavalry Force in the History of Mankind. I am not sure, this sounds scary to begin with. Deadliest Cavalry in history? Okay, I'm a little scared. I think that would be an appropriate response. The Hussars, I think they were Hungarian from, I probably must have heard of it because I believe they were Hungarian, but I'm not super sure. I know they were warriors, yes, they were a cavalry, but I didn't know that they were the deadliest cavalry in history. Okay, makes me scared, but let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe. What year was this? I don't know what year were they were active. Is this a recreation or a film? Okay. I always think of the horses. I mean, obviously people, that's sad, but I always think of the horses as well. It makes me sad for some reason.
Cavalry, throughout the history, has been one of the most important factors when it came to winning battles. There have been a lot of famous cavalry units that have been romanticized in the ancient times, such as Persian cataphracts or companion cavalry during the reign of Alexander the Great.
Must admit, I've never heard of any of them.
Both are noteworthy and have been important building stones of Persian and Macedon empires. However, not a single cavalry unit had as much of an impact on a country's dominance over their neighbors for centuries as the famed Winged Hussars.
Centuries?
Winged Hussars were a heavy cavalry formation active in Poland and in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth from the 1503 to 1702.
Okay, so I was wrong. It wasn't Hungary, it was Poland.
They were a dominant fear-mongering hurricane of horses and steel, which made the Polish Hussars to be respected.
That's a lot of years to be active. I get it, because I think back in those days everyone was getting into a lot of wars and there was a lot of conflict. But still, the fact that they made it, they lasted for about 200 years, I think that's a long time.
And held in a high regard, even during the Napoleonic era, long after their disbandment.
Oh, okay.
Their epithet is derived from a large rear wings, which were intended to demoralize the enemy during the charge and also just face it, because they...
Yes, of course, it looks super intimidating if I were on the opposite side. Although I'm wondering, well, obviously it wasn't a hindrance to them, but just thinking about this, I am imagining it probably must have been harder to fight with something, on your back. Apparently, no, it wasn't a problem for them. But I'm just thinking, wouldn't that be sort of cumbersome?
They looked unique and freaking cool.
Yes.
Contrary to the
it's true. They just look cool.
The popular belief, Hussars originated in the mercenary units of exiled warriors from the Balkan region of Europe.
Oh.
Mercenary lancers of Serbian origin, known as the Raskians, were frequently hired to counter the Ottoman Sipahi and Delhi cavalry.
Oh, makes sense. Yes, of course, because they're kind of close geographically, and I think maybe they were exiled. I must believe they were mercenaries, they were exiled, and they were, well, now we're just assassins for hire, which I know it's bad, obviously, but it sounds cool.
In the 15th century, the Hussars, based on those of Matthias Corvinus, were adopted by some European armies to provide light and expendable cavalry units. The true Winged Hussar arrived with the reforms of the King of Poland and Grand Duke of Lithuania, Stephen Bathory, in the 1570s, and was later led by King John III Sobieski.
I think it must have been super, just if you're not a fighter, I would imagine I would just go and look at them, because I think they must have been incredibly intimidating. Also, again, very cool, but just looking at them, obviously I wouldn't approach them because I'd be scared, but still, just looking at looking at all these people and all these fighters from an audience type of view, I think it would have been incredible. I know I would have, just because I was interested in, I want to know what the whole spectacle is about.
Most Hussars were recruited from the wealthier Polish nobility known as Szlachta. Each Hussar, tovarzysz, or comrade in English, raised his own pochet or retinue. Several retinues were combined to form a hussar banner or company. Over the course of the 16th century, hussars became heavier in character. They abandoned wooden shields and adopted metal-plated body armor. Hussars had
because obviously technology had advanced, I would assume.
to provide the arms and the armor for themselves and their retainers, except for the lance, which was provided by the king. The lance
Why was lance provided by the king? Must have been special. Did it have poison?
was the main offensive weapon of the hussar and also the key reason for their successes on the battlefield. One of the reasons that the European armies were turning to firearms and away from the cavalry charges was the appearance of pikemen or infantry equipped with two-handed pikes. That infantry made the charges of lance-bearing knights largely obsolete.
Okay.
A knight's one-handed lance couldn't be as heavy as the pike and therefore had to be shorter. Consequently, the knights couldn't reach beyond the pikes, so charging was out of the question. But the winged horsemen found a way to get around this, a quite crafty one. They devised a hollow lance, something revolutionary at the time. Not only it was lighter than the traditional one, but it also broke less easily. That's right.
So they were also advancing weapons and technology in general as well. Good to know.
According to the laws of physics, a hollow lance is more robust
Yes, according to the laws of physics. Obviously, they wouldn't have known it was physics, but they just know, well, this works better.
than a full one. Also, thanks to the lower weight, the length could be extended.
Oh.
Suddenly, the hussar's lance could be over 6 meters long, longer than a pikeman's pike, which averaged
That's actually quite long. I am imagining, and yes, it is very long. I would love to know how much it weighed because it was lighter, but still, I would imagine it's quite heavy still because it's very long.
around 5 meters in length. There were reports of hussars impaling up to 6 Russians or Turks with a single charge.
Oh my god!
Moreover, the shabla, or saber in English, was carried
Okay, that's crazy. In one go, you're impaling 6 people. Okay, that's a nightmare for obviously for the other guys.
on the left side, and several types of the sabers were known to winged hussars, including the renowned Shabla Husarska. Some hussars used battle axes and even war hammers.
Okay.
Later, they proved their adaptability when they embraced pistols. They protected themselves with an armor made of
What year were pistols invented? It was it 1700s?
steel, which was light, weighing around 15 kilograms. For riding, they used light Turkish saddles.
Well, actually, no. It's not. It's actually quite heavy. It's 15 kilograms. I think that's a lot of weight to have on your body.
The lightness of their attire allowed the hussar horse
Lighter, probably in comparison to other things that came earlier, but still, I think from a modern perspective, I think that's incredibly heavy.
to gallop at full speed for a long time. The hussars used a special breed of horses. They were a cross between Polish and Tartar horses. The horses were famous for
Were Tartar the people that I think there were Russian and Turkish or something like that?
their endurance, speed, and maneuverability. The purpose of the shock cavalry was to inflict as much
It's kind of crazy that everything was super planned, even the horses.
physical damage as possible with a single charge. But great military minds of the past realized that the emotional factor is as important as the physical one.
True.
That's why winged hussars started polishing their armor so it became more visible and bright.
Oh.
It is also the reason why they wore
I'm wondering if also it was so shiny and when the sun hit them, it blinded the opponent. Maybe not. Maybe that's just a fantasy of mine. But I would imagine, well, imagine the thing being so shiny that, and obviously you have thousands of them, it's blinding for the opposite guys.
leopard or bear skins on their shoulders. And the most importantly,
To make
why
it
they
scarier.
attached eagle wings to themselves, hence getting the name the winged hussars.
Were there actual eagles or were they just making them out of something? I don't know what kind of material they would have used, but or were there actually no? It's an actual eagle. That again, how many eagles did they have to kill?
In an era where it was unlikely that you would ever see a neighboring city, what were you supposed to make of the rapidly approaching heavily armored legion of vengeful, glittering angels?
I would surrender. It's okay. I'll surrender. Don't kill me, please.
The only problem was that the only wealthy nobles could have afforded the hussar equipment and a horse. For example, the hussar horse was worth more than an entire village. Therefore, winged hussars were a very important but also precious unit and hardly expendable.
Yes, but I can see it was very expensive. That's why. Oh, you can't afford me. Literally, you can't.
This high entry level meant that there were never more than 10,000 of them at any one time.
But I think 10,000, that's plenty. That to me seems a lot, especially knowing that they were so expensive. The kingdom must have been super rich because it wasn't cheap. I know, again, and there were a lot of people.
Usually only a few thousand. Besides the famous Battle of Vienna in 16...
But also, who cares? I don't need thousands of them if they're so effective. It's good. I'm getting my money's worth just because I don't need 20,000 of them. 1,000 probably would do the job just fine.
In 83, the winged hussars won most of the battles they fought. In 1610, at the Battle of Klushino, 5,000 winged hussars defeated the Russian army of 35,000 soldiers.
Oh my god!
And overwhelming odds of being outnumbered 5-1.
Okay, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, I have 30,000 soldiers, okay, but if they're bad or maybe not as good as the others, who cares if you have 30,000, 20,000? Yeah, I may only have 4,000 or 6,000, but if they're better than the others, it's quality over quantity, and this absolutely proves it. And it's of course, because I'm thinking, well, yeah, if I don't know how to fight, and we are, I don't know, 200 people, we are completely, I don't know how to fight, I am very bad at this, and I am against 20 people, we're against 20 people that actually do know what they're doing, well, of course we're gonna get hammered. Yeah, we're gonna get beat up. So yes, of course, I think it sounds intimidating, but as long as you know what you're doing, I think yes, it's better to have a small number, small quantity, but they know what they're doing and not thousands of people that are just blindly going at this.
Later, they marched into Moscow, captured it, and held on to it for 2 years.
Oh.
A feast that even the greatest military minds of history, such as Napoleon Bonaparte,
well, yeah, but
and warlike superpowers, such as German Empire in World War I,
we know Napoleon's history with Russia, so yeah.
and Third Reich in World War II, were unable to recreate.
Yeah.
In 1620,
well, different times, and I hardly doubt the Hussars were alive back in those time periods.
At the Battle of Chochim, 45,000 Poles repelled the invasion of 170,000 Ottoman Turks.
The numbers, I just said it, but yeah, the numbers are still kind of crazy.
Poles entrenched themselves, and the Ottomans laid the siege. However, the winged hussars' counterattacks were devastating to the Ottoman army. On one occasion, 600 winged hussars charged against 10,000 Ottomans. They broke their lines and drove the Ottoman janissaries back to their camp.
That's crazy.
Perhaps the most famous was the Battle of Vienna in 1683. The Ottoman Empire was just days away from conquering Vienna and putting the Christianity in the Europe in danger, possibly establishing a new hegemony over the Central and Christian Europe. However, the king of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, John III Sobieski, arrived just in time to save the day. He led 18,000 horsemen.
And was the actual king the one that... No, I'm fighting. I don't know why I thought that kings were just... I'm staying in the tent and you guys fight and let me know how it ends.
To charge down the hills, which became the largest cavalry charge in history.
Really?
The victory was so decisive that it eventually led to the decline of Ottoman Empire and created a power vacuum in the region, which was later used by the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
So this all happened because of them? That's crazy.
In 1694, at the Battle of Hodov, 400 winged hussars stood up against the 40,000 Crimean Tatars and defeated them.
What?
The Poles nicknamed the battle
only 400 of them? That's insane. Insane numbers.
The Polish Thermopylae. The end of the Hussars' glory came a few years after their greatest victory at the Battle of Vienna. In 1702, at the Battle of Klishov, the Swedish army led by the famous Charles XII destroyed the winged hussars. It was the signal of the downfall of the famed cavalry.
But why? It seems crazy, too big to fail in a way.
With 2 centuries of dominance,
the
adversaries of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth started adapting and learned how to counter this unstoppable force of steel and flesh. The hussars' opponents began using so-called Frisian horses. These were spiked obstacles that stopped cavalry charges. The firearms improved rapidly and caused more damage to the horsemen.
Yeah, of course.
Their reputation had
Okay, so it was inevitable just because technology advances made it so that it's impossible to keep up with this.
also suffered, as the quality of the soldiers seeking to join them visibly decreased, as well as the slumping Polish economy were the main reasons behind the end of.
Yeah, I guess if you don't have any money to pay them, of course the quality is going to decrease, and the people, the Hussars, weren't what they were back in the day because they were just recruiting everyone, I would assume.
The Hussars. From then on, the winged Hussars took only part in ceremonies, as they became too expensive to raise and obsolete in the new modern warfare, which led to the public.
That's kind of sad. It makes me sad for or at least specifically for that last generation. Obviously the others, it doesn't matter, but for that last generation must have been super sad. We're a relic in this modern world, basically.
Giving them a mocking nickname, the funeral soldiers. The Polish parliament abolished them in 1776. Yet, after the partition of Poland, the tradition.
How come the parliament has to dissolve this? Maybe, oh yeah, because it was the king and stuff. Okay, yeah, I get it. It's a little weird though. It's the parliament has to dissolve this.
Tradition of skilled hussars lived on, some of which kept a fear-mongering reputation while serving in Napoleon's armies.
Oh.
Today, the hussars are but a memory that conjures the lost glory of Poland's early modern period. Some of their accessories have become prized elements of the museum collections.
Oh,
At
you can see them.
Kornik Castle, there are 3 lances. At the Wawel Royal Castle, you can see a winged suit of armor. While on display at Warsaw Polish Army Museum is an ornate hussars horse stack for parades. The Polish hussars are depicted on the commemorative 200 zlotych gold coin, and the badge of the Polish Army's 1st Armored Division is inspired by the armor of the winged hussars.
I can see it.
Despite their fall from grace, their unique innovative design and legendary fearsomeness means that their image has continued to last through all sorts of stories for the last 230 odd years since their dissolution. No doubt, the Hussars.
It leaves an impression, and obviously you know, for something to still be on the collective consciousness 230 years later, well, that's how you know they were incredible.
Hussars will continue to inspire many for years to come. The winged hussars were the deadliest cavalry in the history of humankind. They won most of the battles they fought, even when outnumbered by the enemy. The sight of the winged hussars inflicted fear in the hearts of the opponents.
You would be scared
too. They achieved a legendary reputation. The stories about their feats circulated across the Europe, Russia, and the Ottoman Empire. Everyone knew and feared the angels of death.
Oh, that's such a cool nickname. Okay, this was incredible. I had no idea. I thought I've heard of them before. I thought they were, I was totally off. I thought they were Hungarian. No, they were very Polish and extremely, no, Poland, they can claim them. No, they were literally Polish. But I think I have so many questions. First of all, I would love to see the lands, because apparently there are some artifacts that do still remain and they are in museums. I think specifically the lands, just because I want to know how exactly it was, just the length and how it works specifically. And obviously, I mean, yeah, of course, now I can't. I miss my chance and my opportunity that I would have loved to see them sort of, maybe a recreation, a reenactment, just to see how the charges worked with the horses and the armor and the lance and everything else, just because it makes me very curious. Then obviously I would love to see the armor in real life, just because it looked incredible. I kind of think it looks, the armor itself, it looks a sort of like a Renaissance painting. I think probably it's between the colors and sort of I don't know, it's kind of inspired by, but I think it makes sense. Yes, of course, it was the same time period, but it reminds me of a painting. I love it. I would love to see this in real life, and also see the material. Obviously, it's metal, and the wings are the eagle wings and eagle feathers. But I would assume, but still, I would love to see the red part that was sort of curved. I would love what's that material. And I like that the helmet itself, I think it also seemed to have this feathered situation. I don't know. I looked incredible. I want to go to the museum. I think they were in Poland. I would love to see it. I think it looked incredible. And yes, that would be number one on my list if I ever visit Poland. But as for the other things, I think again, I didn't really know the history, and it's crazy. Yeah, they had a long-standing history of being the best cavalry and the best sort of fighting team. I think in modern times would be the equivalent of having this incredible army, and again, yeah, a nation's army that's really famous for. I mean, I don't think you kind of have the equivalent. I think it would be crazy for me to compare this to some modern army or some modern, yeah, some other country, because you just can't. Something that lasted for so long, and I think also obviously it worked different, even though the king was I would assume the king was the commander, although obviously it lasted for so long that it must have been, yeah, they had 10 kings or whatever. It wasn't just one king, because it lasted for over 100 years. But so it's kind of crazy to make the comparison, and I don't think you're able to, or I wouldn't be able to, just because yes, you have incredible armies in this day and age. But I think we get into less fights these days as a world, and countries get, yes, of course, there's always a war happening and conflicts, but they're not in this scale. And yes, I think just times have changed, but still it's kind of insane. And they would be the elite one, yes, an elite force that actually does this. I don't know. I don't think we have something like that in this day and age. And I don't think we've had something like this for. Probably since they were extinguished. I don't think we had one of those. But one of the things is kind of makes me sad. I mean, yes, incredible feat, amazing. The fact that they were able again to defeat thousands and thousands of people, and there were only 400, 500 of them. It speaks a lot of about their ability, how they were trained. I would love to know how the training process went and how they were recruiting people. Were they going to villages and recruiting people that, well, you kind of know how to fight. You seem to know what you're doing. They were making auditions or something, and they were, yes, you're going to training camp now. Or people or these guys were, oh no, I volunteer. I want to be part of this. I would love to know, and also how they were being trained, because to make them so deadly. I am so curious to know what were they feeding them? Not feeding them as in food, but what was the training like? Because it must have been incredibly insane, and I would love to know how was it. But what I was going with this is that yes, of course they had their glory time period and they were invincible. I think it speaks to two things. I think on one hand, it speaks again how great you are, and then you can be amazing, and then 200 years later, people are still going to be talking about you. And yes, of course, that's incredible, and of course, it's again amazing. However, I do really think, that's made for their counterparts and people that lost against them. I think it's something of that. They seem invincible, and yes, they were reigning for 200 years. And they seem, yes, no one's going to be able to defeat them. They are the elite. No one's going to be above them. But then time came for them as well. Time comes for us all then. It doesn't matter. And again, yes, that's probably true for any empire, and yes, because empires also seem too big to fail. But eventually they do fall. And civilizations as well. And these incredible civilizations, they're gonna fail eventually. And I think this also, well, again, that's the sad part is, eventually it also came for them. I think it's inevitable. Again, it makes me sad, especially for that last what they were calling the funeral guard or something, which I think it's kind of rude, especially because, well, you have a whole history. It's not just the last 20 years. We have a long history, but yes, of course, people don't care about them. They want to see results, and they want to see them now. So people were, we don't really care if you were super amazing and incredible 100 years ago. In this day and age, you're bones. We don't care about you. You guys are just not good fighters. You're constantly losing the battles, and you are seen as probably a relic of the past, just because again modern times came for them, which makes me a little sad. And that's the thing. Everything seems impossible. Yes, of course, we're gonna be here for centuries and forever. It's no, you're not gonna, but maybe centuries, and that's a huge feat. But it's gonna fail eventually again, and it's time. It really is impossible to stop this, because you either adapt, and again that process, you adapt, and in the process you're losing a bunch of things that probably make it so, that make this team and whatever it is, that make you so characteristic, because you're losing all the elements because you have to adapt, and yes, time has changed. And or you just, well, you are stuck in your old ways, and I am being stubborn, I'm gonna keep doing what I've been doing, and because it has worked for us for hundreds of years. But then of course that's the thing, eventually time comes. It's modern times, and yes, technology advances, so eventually you're also going to be a relic of the past, which again makes me super sad. Although again, incredible feat, they lasted as long as they did. Just lasting 50 years, I think that's incredible. Imagine lasting 200 and odd years. That seems incredible. So yes, even though it makes me sad, it's also a reminder that, even empires, the greatest of empires and the greatest of forces, are gonna fail eventually. So, well, the silver lining, if you're one of the guys that it's against them, but yeah, no, not for them, obviously, because for them must have been really sad. And yes, I would love to know also what was their thought process in that sort of, what, maybe 30 or 40 years, how they were, wow, it's not really what we're not really what we were before. And I think grappling with that, it must have been, I don't know, that must have been awful and crazy, just to think, well, yeah, once I was seen as something great, and now I'm just seen as the old man that nobody, oh, what are you fighting, that nobody does this anymore. And you're, again, it's so archaic, and nobody really like, of course you're gonna lose. So again, makes me super sad, but well, that's history, and that's time, and that's life. So again, on one hand great, on the other, well, maybe not so good. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.